Good evening, welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Zakka. Jacob, there was a mysterious boat found off the coast of Raigad in Maharashtra. Inside that boat, there were 3 AK-47s and at least 10 boxes of bullets. Now, the boat belongs to an Oman-based company, Neptune Maritime Security. One of their boats had capsized in rough weather back in June. They were rescued by a Korean warship, but the small boat got cut off from the rescue ship and then it drifted to the coast of Maharashtra. It does raise some very pertinent and very serious questions, not least because this is happening exactly 13 years after the infamous 26/11 attacks and almost 30 years after the 1993 Bombay blast case, in which too the weapons were dropped off in a similar fashion off the coast of Maharashtra. But first, the story of what happened today in Raigad.
14 years after 10 terrorists snuck into Mumbai and unleashed the worst terror attack ever witnessed on Indian soil, it's deja vu in Maharashtra. A suspicious boat with AK-47 assault rifles and bullets was found in the sea off the Raigad coast, 200 kilometers from Mumbai. Some locals spotted the boat, which had no crew member on board, and alerted the police. A sticker of Neptune Maritime Security was spotted on the weapons case. Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Devendrafadnavis informed the Assembly that the boat was owned by an Australian national and was travelling from Muscat when the engine failed.
ये बोट मस्कत से यूरोप की ओर जा रही थी. बोट का इंजन ये खराब हुआ. कोरियन नेवी के शिप ने इन सभी लोगों को रेस्क्यू किया और हाई टाइड के कारण ये बोट ड्रिफ्ट होते हुए श्रीवर्धन की तरफ आई और श्रीवर्धन के किनारे पर आकर लगी.
Teams of the Maharashtra ATS and NIA rushed to the spot. A high alert has been issued in Mumbai and across the state, while a terror angle is not being ruled out. Authorities are urging people not to panic.
A special ATS team or special agency team should be appointed for it. That's one thing. And second, the most and the utmost important is the security of people. So the state government should immediately make an announcement regarding the security issues.
But what's sending alarm bells ringing is that for the 1993 Mumbai blasts, arms and ammunition, detonators, hand grenades and RDX all landed in the Shikhari coast in Raigad. So how safe are India's coastlines?
All right, so here's what we know about this arms boat, which sparked off a scare not just in coastal Maharashtra, but nationally as well. Back in May, there was this yacht that belonged to the Neptune Maritime Security Company, which set sail from Dubai. It had 8 people on board, which was 5 passengers and 3 crew. What we know is that on the 26th of June, the yacht made distress calls after there was rough weather up on the high seas. On the 27th of June, the following day, there was a Korean naval vessel, a military vessel, that was there in the vicinity. It managed to rescue all the passengers on board as well as the crew. The yacht with the arms was being towed by this naval vessel, but in a few hours, it got cut off, and the yacht itself, the boat that was found, it went adrift. And today, this unmanned yacht, this unmanned boat, drifted all the way to the Raigad coast. It's about a few hundred miles, in fact, a few thousand miles, all the way from the coast of Oman down to the Raigad coast in Maharashtra. Does raise some very, very serious questions as to how come this boat was not intercepted at the high seas and how was it only found almost at the coastline of Maharashtra. Let me go across to Vinay Deshpande, our Mumbai bureau chief, who has more on this. So while this case seems to be, at least so far, there doesn't seem to be a terror link. It seems to be more a case of, a ship being stuck in the high seas because of bad weather and then getting adrift. But it does raise questions, Vinaya, as to how was this boat going adrift in the high seas without anyone noticing it till it reached the coast of Maharashtra?
Well, absolutely, that does raise some serious questions, particularly that after which there was a complete rehauling of maritime security, wherein two levels, or at least three levels of maritime security were envisaged. The first level was the Mumbai police, then it was the Coast Guard, and then it was the Navy. The fact that the boat could not be intercepted at the naval level, it had to come down to the, even after the Coast Guard level, it did come and hit the shores of Maharashtra, after which it was the fisher folks who went and intimated the police, raised several questions about the safety aspect. Right now, though the police and the security agencies maintain that there is absolutely no threat perception with respect to the boat that has been drifted, and it merely looks like an accident, but the fact that the boat had at least 3 AK-47s and was loaded with ammunition, could not be intercepted, could not be stopped before it reached the shores, raises several security questions. And that is why, as of now, the Deputy Chief Minister has also said that though he's ruled out terror angle, he does not want to completely put a full stop to it as of now. So the security agency is still looking into it. Security is still being beefed up, not just in Mumbai, but in the entire coastal region, where Nakabandi has been put up, where all the vehicles are being checked. But as of now, there are several glaring lapses that not just the Maharashtra government, but possibly the central agencies may also have to answer about, specifically the Coast Guard and the Navy.
All right, Vinaya, we'll leave it at that. We'll see how the story plays out. As of now, the Maharashtra government as well as central agencies are playing down any kind of terror angle. But like Vinaya was saying, it does raise several questions 13 years after 26/11 and close to 30 years after the 1993 Bombay blast case, in which a similar modus operandi was used of weapons being offloaded off the coast of Maharashtra. Let me go across now to our full panel. Joining us this evening on Viewpoint, Rajiv Pandey, a spokesperson of the BJP in Maharashtra; Charan Singh Sapra, spokesperson of the Congress Party; Sushant Sareen, senior fellow with the Observer Research Foundation; and Vikram Singh is former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. Rajiv Pandey, while in this case it's turned out to be benign so far, it seems like a maritime security company, their yacht went into rough weather, they got rescued, and finally this yacht went off adrift because of bad weather. But it does raise some serious questions, Rajiv Pandey. For a month and a half, late June, this rough weather incident happened. Today, in the middle of August, this boat comes all the way to the Raigad coast. How come no one spotted it, intercepted it, reported about it for the last month and a half?
Zakka, it requires serious investigation. I completely agree with you. And Honorable Deputy Chief Minister, who is Home Minister also, he has given a statement also about that. And in this inquiry, it will be ascertained that how this has happened. Because that is the same place where in 1993 or 92, you can say, or in 2008, the landing has taken place. In 2008, it was across several places this has happened. Because for the safety and security of the Mumbai, these areas are very sensitive and very important, and this is a serious lapse in my opinion. And let's see what happens during the investigation of the matter, that how this has happened.
Okay.
Because it's a very sensitive place, and in the past we have seen what has happened. As far as the Mumbai safety is concerned, no doubt for last 2.5 years what was happening in Mumbai or around the Mumbai, because the policemen were involved in some other activities. You are aware about that. But I can assure you that under the leadership of BJP government, Shiv Sena government right now, the security will be beefed up and it will be taken care. Because if you can see,
let me ask Charan Singh Sapra, one of the things that was decided after 26/11 was there was going to be a multi-pronged approach to security. There was going to be the Coast Guard, there was going to be high-speed patrol forces carved out of the Mumbai police. There was supposed to be these amphibious vehicles also given to them. How come this boat for a month and a half evaded all security agencies, whether it was the Navy at the high seas, whether it was the Coast Guard? Ultimately, it was left to the fisherfolk, the poor fisherfolk at the coast of Raigad, to spot this and to bring it ashore.
Of course, Zakka, looking at the entire scenario, you have also discussed it elaborately. I feel there is a serious security lapse on the part of all the, maybe the central agencies, maybe the Coast Guard, the Navy, and I feel at this situation, the government or the political parties in power, they should decide that accountability should be fixed. Until and unless the accountability is fixed, I feel these things will go in the same way. And moreover, Mumbai, as you rightly mentioned, the 1993 blast, or maybe the 2008 26/11, the way Kasab and his friends had attacked Mumbai.
Sorry.
And Mumbai is quite a sensitive place. And moreover, I would like to add that there are festivals which are starting from today onwards. Today is Janmashtami, tomorrow Dahi Handi, then the Ganesh Chaturthi festival for 10 days, then Navratri, Dasera, which is being celebrated in Mumbai in an elaborate way. So it is a high-risk zone, and there should be no lapses. The borders, like we are seeing, the sea line is quite porous. This boat has drifted from Muscat to Mumbai, and nobody has seen it. It was the poor fisherman who saw, and he also saw because there is the fishing season has not resumed. So he was also suspicious that who is there in the sea doing fishing when the fishing season has not resumed.
Let me go to Sushant Sareen. You know, one of the things, Sushant, I mean, back in, I think, 2005 or 6, here at CNN News 18, we had done a sting operation going back to the same parts of the coast of Maharashtra where the drop-off of weapons had happened in the 1993 blast. And what we found 10 years ago, 15 years ago, was that nothing had changed. No security beef-up had happened. And today's incident, again, sort of puts paid to that same thing that, look, in 30 years almost, we have not really had any great change. At the end of the day, this has managed to breach the guardrails of the Navy, the Coast Guard, even the even the Maharashtra police. And finally, like I said, it's the fisherfolk who actually discovered this boat.
Discovered it, yes.
Yeah, and Zakka, you are forgetting that I think it was your channel which on the 10th anniversary, if I'm not wrong,
Correct.
of the Mumbai attacks, you guys had done an audit again of the much wanted, this coastal policing boats and stuff like that, which had been organized, in the flush after the 26/11 attacks. And that entire coastal police is completely defunct. They don't have money for fuel. The boats are just, lying on the docks. They're not going, they're not flying. There are no trained people. So, we treat security in a very cavalier manner. Now, Mr. Sapra, in principle, what he said is right. There should be accountability. But whom are you going to hold accountable?
Exactly.
What were the resources? Are you just going to catch hold of a cop and hang him? Or are you going to ask whether the necessary resources were given for the coastal policing, which was actually supposed to take care of these kind of incidents? That does not absolve the Coast Guard of its duties. But I think, Zakka, I don't think whatever the story has come out so far can be taken at face value.
Okay.
I think the antecedents of the owners of the boat, of the security company, who are the people who own this, who are the people, what is the profile of the directors or the owners of these particular companies? And just because it was some Australian couple which was going from Oman to wherever else they were going, I don't think I'm going to buy that just like that. Because after all, you remember the Purulia arms drop, that, there was some guy by the name of Kim Davy and he was flying this plane and he dropped these weapons. So we've seen all these incidents happen. And, every time something like this happens, the next time, we are lamenting over and we are recounting the past incidents. And clearly, we are not a people who learn our lessons, regardless of the government. I don't even want to go into which government, because it's just the mentality of people in government that, okay, an episode is over, it'll never repeat itself.
So I want to ask Vikram
that's
Singh.
That's where we are at.
After 26/11, there was an entire commission that had sat and figured out what was wrong with our coastal security. They were supposed to give the police, I think, 50 patrol boats. They were supposed to give them these amphibious vehicles which can travel both on land as well as on water. In fact, coastal, there was supposed to be a separate unit of coastal patrolling that was supposed to be hived off. And ultimately, none of that seemed to have helped in this case, at least as far as this case is concerned. So far, at least, and I've been saying this, I'm stressing this again and again, so far they've not found a terror angle. But who's to say that tomorrow a terror boat like this could not have been found off the coast of Maharashtra? So what exactly has changed then in the last 12, 13 years since 26/11?
Zakka, nothing has changed, and I share the concern of all the esteemed panelists. We have not learned our lessons 93 and 26/11. Now to say that to Mr. Sushant Sareen, who should be held responsible? Whoever has the jurisdiction should be held responsible, whether it's the Coast Guard or whoever it may be. Whoever has the jurisdiction must be held responsible. Yes, I would say I have my own reservations about the story put forth. One, what about the GPS tracking? The boat did not capsize. A high-end boat with automatic weapons, 10 cartons of ammunition, and it did not capsize. What about your GPS tracking? What about your air surveillance, air reconnaissance, as also satellite imagery? All these technologies are available to us, and it is perfectly doable. Not to do this, and the boat, the so-called unmanned boat, lands up on the shores of Raigad. I don't take this story at all. And my concern again is 3 AK-47 series weapons, also 10 cartons of ammunition. If the boat had capsized, was it known that was there a hot pursuit? Was there any attempt to find the boat, to trace the boat? I don't think there was any attempt made. And
also, is it a legitimate question to ask, Vikram Singh, who are these people? There were 8 people supposedly on board this boat. This rough weather incident happened in late June. They were supposedly rescued by a Korean military vessel. Where are these people? Who are these people? How come we haven't heard from them in the last month and a half?
Zakka, we have not heard anything, and that makes it even more suspicious. My advice to Rakesh Pandey ji would be that he is a patriot. All of us are patriots. But I would not like to give rather prematurely that there is no terror angle. Okay. The very fact that you have been able to recover AK-47 weapons with 10 cartons of ammunition, a high-end speedboat, goes to show that all is not hunky-dory and everything cannot be brushed underneath the carpet. It requires a deep, incisive, elaborate investigation before. And
Rajiv Pandey, one of the things that happens is, and this is a problem in our national security apparatus, it just slips through the cracks. You know, you have the Navy, which is, of course, a central agency. You have the Coast Guard, again, a central agency. You have the Mumbai and the Maharashtra Police, which is a state agency. And ultimately, you know, between these agencies, the buck just gets passed. I mean, ultimately, no one is held accountable for what happens. It didn't happen in 26/11. It didn't happen in 93. And I suspect it's not going to happen today because ultimately, you need to be able to fix accountability. And that's exactly the question that Sushant Sareen asked. Who are you going to hold accountable?
I just wish to add one thing, that what Vikram Singh ji had just stated, that the responsibility should be fixed. Nobody is saying this is not a terror, there is no terror angle. Prima facie, whatever information has come to the fore, that is being discussed. But NIA and ATS Maharashtra has already, ATS Maharashtra, even including NIA also, has already started investigation in the matter. So that whether there is a terror angle or not, that will be only ascertained after the due thorough investigation. Second point, the responsibility will be fixed. You know, you can say, I was just going through before your show that what is the position of the coastal police station. Yeah. So who are in charge of coastal police station? Who are in charge of the Coast Guard? And whoever is responsible, they should be fixed. So there are some responsible people. But whether this is having terror angle or not, that only we can say when the NIA completes investigation.
No, so tell me, since you researched about it, I believe there were 500 coastal police stations that were provisioned for after 26/11. Since you did research, how many have actually come up?
No, I'll tell you that there are police stations have come up, but the news talks about, I was seeing the news, that their situation is not good. Honestly, I'll tell you their situation is not good. Even in 2012, their facilities were not provided, all the facilities. Okay. All these things are there. And I am telling you, this incident will certainly tell the Maharashtra government, that is BJP Shiv government, as well as center, that how to protect these areas.
You see, Charan Singh Sapra, I don't want to get into politics, but the fact is, for 2.5 years, you folks were in power. Before that, BJP Sena was in power. Before that, again, you folks were in power. Like I said, from 26/11, it seems to me that nothing really has changed. You know, power keeps transferring hands, whether it is in Maharashtra or it's in the center. But really, frankly, I mean, what has really changed, Charan Singh Sapra? Can you tell me of the things that were recommended by the commission that sat after 26/11? How many have actually been met on the ground, Charan Singh Sapra? Whether you are in power or whether BJP is in power, immaterial, irrespective of that.
Zakka, I feel that the governments must have worked on it, but the real issue now is that the way this boat has drifted from Muscat or Oman into the Indian borders and right up to Raigad. So the Indian Coast Guard or the Navy had the major responsibility before the local police station of Raigad or maybe whatever Srivardhan or whatever place. But the Coast Guard and Navy had the major responsibility. Like Mr. Vikram Singh rightly pointed out, he said the GPS, he mentioned GPS system, the satellite system we are having. We have so much of updation in the security system. Yet this boat has drifted away from Muscat to Raigad and nobody knew about it.
Okay.
It was there on any of the radar also.
Let me ask Sushant Sareen, and I'll give him the final word. What about, I think it's a valid point that Vikram Singh raised. I mean, there are GPS trackers for almost all, boats that go, even for small-sized boats that go out at sea. Yes. This is supposed to be some kind of a luxury yacht, if you will. How come it doesn't have any of these modern, tracking devices?
Yeah, and there are many other questions also, Zakka, which need to be asked. For example, if there are these AK-47s out there which have been recovered, what are the markings on those AK-47s?
Yeah.
Where have they been sourced from? At the ammunition, where has it been sourced from? As Mr. Vikram Singh correctly raised, did they issue some kind of an SOS that this boat has gone adrift and some kind of a signaling which was sent to navies and boats around plying in that in the sea as to look out for this particular boat, or did they just give it up as a dead loss? We don't know any of that. Do we know who this Australian couple supposedly was, what their antecedents are, what their profile is? What is this company which was claiming to provide private security to these people who were going on this yacht? What is their profile? Who owns this company? Is there a Pakistani angle to it? Is there some other angle to it? I think there are any number of questions. But I think just to clarify something to Mr. Sapra, if there's a boat which has not been, which has not been declared missing or gone adrift, and the Navy is on the high seas, I don't think the Navy has any jurisdiction to go and look at a particular boat or to check for a particular boat on the high seas. Of course, when it comes to territorial waters, then the Coast Guard should have been able to locate it, provided there was some kind of intimation which was given that this boat has gone adrift, unless, of course, the GPS systems had failed. Unless, of course, all the other satellite tracking systems had failed because this, the reports again, we are going behind after what has been reported right now, that, there was a complete engine failure and all sorts of other things were happening on this boat and they had to abandon it. So I think those questions need to be asked. You just can't brush it under the carpet. Okay, we found out that the Korean Navy rescued these guys and everything is okay now. I don't think that's good enough. And along with it, I think you have to ask questions as to what has happened to our coastal policing. To say that you hold somebody responsible is all very well. But unless you give people, and Mr. Vikram Singh is a very distinguished police officer, he knows this, that if I give him a police station without any resource whatsoever, and then I tell him that I'm going to hold you responsible for anything which happens in your area of jurisdiction, I don't think that's fair.
All right, Vikram Singh, I'll give you the final word. What is the status of coastal policing in our state police forces? Because this is a boat that should have been stopped. And like I said, it's unfortunate it had to come all the way to the coast of Raigad, and fisher folks were the ones who first spotted it. But what is the real status of coastal policing in our country?
Zakka, let me tell you, it is abysmally low. In fact, we are not even at the same place where we were in 1993 or even on 26/11. We have not drawn our lessons, and that is the tragedy, the administrative tragedy which we must address now. Rajiv Pandey ji, please, now God has given you the position to do something and contribute positively. Where we bungled in the past, and as people say, We may have allocated a police station, but if the resources are not there, it will be unfair. But all is fair in love and war. Somebody has to be held accountable once and for all. If it is just about something that shooting in the dark and not holding anybody responsible, that again would be courting the recipe of disaster, Zakka.
Okay, we'll leave it at that. I want to thank all our guests, Charan Singh Sapra, Rajiv Pandey, Sushant Sareen and Vikram Singh. We'll see how the story plays out. As of now, like I said, what the Deputy Chief Minister in Maharashtra, what the central intelligence agencies are all saying is that the terror angle as of now has not emerged, but we'll see. We'll see if many of these unanswered questions do indeed get answered. Meanwhile, the power tussle within the AIADMK continues even after the Madras High Court pronounced an order in favour of O. Selvam, just minutes after OPS extended an olive branch to EPS today, asking him to forget the issues of the past and work together for the betterment of the party. EPS has outright rejected the call by saying how can he join hands with someone who attacked the AIADMK party headquarters. OPS has also reached out to Shashikala and TTV Dinakaran to join hands for the sake of the party. In fact, TTV Dinakaran had accepted OPS's olive branch and said it's natural for anyone who's opposed to the DMK to agree with OPS's statement. TTV also blazed his guns at EPS and said that only betrayers will not agree with the idea proposed by OPS.
நடந்தவைகள் நடந்தவைகளாகவே இருக்கட்டும். அது எப்படி இருந்தாலும் பரவாயில்லை. தமிழக மக்களும் இந்த இயக்கம் ஒன்றுபட வேண்டும் என்று ஒருமித்தோ கருத்தோடு இருக்கிறார். கடந்த புரட்சித் தலைவி அம்மா அவர்கள் காலமானதற்கு பின்னாலும் 4.5 ஆண்டு காலம் அன்பு சகோதரர் ஸ்ரீ எடப்பாடி பழனிசாமி அவர்கள் முதலமைச்சராக இருக்கும்போது அவரோடு முழு ஒத்துழைப்போடு அனைவரும் பயணித்திருக்கிறோம். எங்களை பொறுத்தவரையில் தலைவர் காலத்தில் தலைவரோடு உணர்ந்து இந்த இயக்கத்திற்கு பாடுபட்டவர்கள், இந்த இயக்கத்தை வளர்க்க ஒத்துழைப்பு கொடுத்தவர்கள். மாண்புமிகு அம்மாவுடைய காலத்தில் இந்த இயக்கத்திற்கு பலமாக தூணாக இருந்து உழைத்தவர்கள். அவர்கள் யாராக இருந்தாலும் அவர்களை இணைத்துக் கொண்டு யாராக இருந்தாலும் சொல்லிடுறாங்க. அதுல சின்னமாவும் இருக்கிறாங்க, டிடி தினகரன் இருக்கிறாங்க.
அவருக்கு பதவி வேணும், பதவியில்லா இருக்க முடியாது. உழைப்பு கிடையாது, எங்கேயும் உழைப்பு கிடையாது. ஆனால் பதவி மட்டும் வேணும். குடும்பத்தில் இருக்கிறவர்கள் பதவி வர வேணும், அதுதான் அவருக்கு முக்கியம். அவர் மகன் எம்பி ஆகணும், அவன் மகன் மத்திய மந்திரி ஆகணும். மற்ற யார் எப்படி போனாலும் அதை பற்றி கவலை இல்லை. இணைன்னு சொல்றாரு, எப்படி இணைய முடியும்? இவர்களோடு எப்படி இணைந்து செயல்பட முடியும்? ரவுடிகளும் குண்டர்களை வைத்து ஒரு கட்சிக்கு தலைமை பொறுப்பு வைக்கின்றவர் இவரே இப்படிப்பட்ட செயலில் ஈடுபடுறாரு. அதனால தான் தொண்டர்கள், நிர்வாகிகள் அவருடைய கருத்துக்களை பொதுக்குழு உறுப்பினர், தலைமை செயலாளர்கள், மாவட்ட செயலாளர் அவருடைய கருத்துக்கள் அடிப்படையில் தான் ஒற்றை தலைமை வர வேண்டும் என்று முடிவு செய்யப்பட்டது.
All right, I want to go across to Purnima Murli. So EPS, the question that's being asked is, yes, an olive branch is being extended, but why should EPS take that when he knows full well that a large part of the party, the organizing secretaries, the district secretaries, the cadre of the party, he happens to control a bulk of them. So why should he accept an olive branch?
Even though Selvam knows that Edappadi Palaniswamy is very keen to be the interim general secretary and in turn the permanent general secretary of the party. However, today's message was to try and ask Edappadi to accommodate him, considering that there are legal hurdles ahead for O. Selvam, because Edappadi is all set to move the division bench as well. So O. Selvam wants to ensure that he still has a place in the ADMK, which is why he's trying to ask Edappadi to ensure that he accommodates O. Selvam. But the rest is only going to worsen in the coming days as well.
No, so I think it's a well-settled legal matter that in the event that a party splits, who gets the symbol, who gets the party name, has to be whoever controls a bulk of the internal workings of the party. And in this case, EPS, since he knows that out of the 2,000-odd members of the General Council, he has a huge majority support within that General Council. Is he also looking at, calling that General Council as quickly as possible, together with, of course, moving the division bench of the Madras High Court? Because ultimately, it's only in that General Council that majority can be proven.
Absolutely. He's also looking at conducting the General Council meeting because he still has a number. Meanwhile, O. Pannirselvam and his camp, they're also trying to invite a couple of district secretaries. Of the 75 district secretaries, more than 70 have supported EPS. Therefore, EPS is also now keen to have the General Council meeting. But in the meantime, they also want to sack O. Pannirselvam and his loyalists. So they are now challenging the Madras High Court as well. So these are the two options before EPS to put an end to O. Pannirselvam's re-entry into ADMK and also the loyalists, including his son. So these are the two options that Edappadi Palaniswamy will consider, including conducting the General Council meeting, as he still has the majority among the party cadre and the district secretaries.
Okay, we'll see how the story plays out. For the moment, thanks very much, Purnima, for joining us. That's a wrap of Viewpoint, this Thursday edition. In a moment, Anusha will be joining you with the biggest exclusive tonight.